Week 11, where it gets real. There's some teams that are possibly fighting for their lives, other teams cementing their positions. A little bit of both gives a little bit more excitement here in week 11, sir. How are we doing?
We're getting into the nitty gritty, Bucks McGee. The line between the haves and the have-nots and the playoff hopefuls and the pretenders is becoming not quite so thin.
No. Probably after this week, you'll kind of know who's who and who's not.
Yeah, and I laughed at this Thursday game because in typical Jets fashion, they always wait till they're kind of out of it before they start playing and want to actually try to win a game.
Yeah, all of a sudden they want to actually use the playbook and try to be good. But unfortunately, it's just a hodgepodge of mess. I give them credit, heck of an effort thus far, but no Garrett Wilson. It's tough sledding. I'm surprised New England's allowed them to stay as close as they have, but it's a divisional game, so these things happen.
Right. And like they started off the game very Bill Parcells-esque, keep Drake May off the field. Like, okay, this a strategy, something meaningful, something with some meat to it from the Jets, and then Travion Henderson took over.
Yeah, he's 2 touchdowns, not the big yards he had last week, but
Yeah.
New England does what they do. They'll score any way possible, so they don't have to air. So far, this first half, they haven't aired it out a lot. It's been, methodical, ground and pound in a way, and the Jets are hanging around. It's not a blowout. I think the line was 13.5 points. So if you bet in the line, you're in some trouble here after the first half. But
Yeah.
give the Jets credit for hanging out.
That's right. All right, that's enough AFC talk. Let's head into the NFC. And last week, the Rams got the Niners out of the way, and they're looking like they're falling further back in the NFC West. But Seattle and the Rams are very much deadlocked atop that division. So this is like the true. We said last week it was the battle for the NFC West, but this is the true battle for the NFC West this week.
Yeah, we're gonna see where Seattle stacks up. The Rams have been in this position before. Seattle's kind of new to this. A lot of firepower. They've played extremely well this year, so we're going to see how they handle things. The pressures. This is serious. If they lose this game, could be the difference between a wild card and a possible division title.
Do you expect this to be low scoring because the Rams defense has kind of been a bit undersung this season, not getting a lot of credit because the offense has gotten all the headlines. And then, of course, Seattle's defense has very much been a story throughout the season. So do you expect it to be low scoring, or do you expect it to be one of those nothing makes sense and they actually both score a significant amount?
That's exactly what I think it is. I think it's just going to be something. It's going to be something weird, wild, and next thing you know, it'll end up being some kind of like 48-43 weird play. Somehow someone pulls it out. I can't put a beat on this game. Both offenses are great. The defenses, like you said, for the Rams unsung. Seattle's defense, plays well. Their run game is a little suspect, but I think there's going to be points all over the place. I think it's going to be a fun game. I don't think it's going to be something where we're going to see it 21-20 last minute kind of deal. I think it's points aplenty.
How do you gauge the Seattle's reputation this year as being road warriors going into SoFi?
I don't get it. I really don't. Like, of course, you want to be good on the road. Of course, usually it's you're solid at home and you hope that you're good on the road. It's kind of like they're almost a guarantee on the road, and at home, you're like, okay, hopefully they can do something. If it holds true to form, then they should perform well. And I think that holds a key, especially late in the season. Once you figure out if you make it to the dance and you figure out your playoff seeding. I think if you're one of those teams that's on the road for a good chunk of it, it helps out. but you do want to play well at home. But they don't have that luxury this week. They got to go on the road and handle business.
Do you think this has any now? My Colts are off this week, so we can't have our usual MVP debate. But I have the feeling that you're in that the MVP is the quarterback's award camp. So what kind of MVP deliberations can get drawn out of this game with Matthew Stafford and Sam Darnold?
Okay, hold on. I'm not solely in it's a quarterback award, but when you've got a running back and a quarterback playing at an extremely high level, you have to defer to the guy who has the ball in his hand all the time, every play. That's just how it is. All right, so let's calm that down. All right. JT for MVP. JT for MVP. Anyways, I think if Darnold plays well, I think he almost moves to the forefront. I think you have to give him his respect. I think people are kind of hesitant to really be like, oh, Sam Darnold MVP, because I think they still have that little bit of Jets taste in their mouth. They're like waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
They're waiting for something to be like, all right, yeah, see, he's good, but nah, we knew this was going to happen. Like last year, he was great, and then it was the end of the year, and then it finally caught up, and everyone was like, see, we knew he was going to mess up. Just took the end of the year. So if he goes, toe-to-toe with Stafford and plays well, you got to put him in there.
Same old Jets, much sounding like same old Sam.
I think he's finally shook it, and I think he's kind of made everything his own. It's just now, okay, you're becoming a quarterback who can play well in the regular season. It's just you make it to the playoffs now, you got to prove something. So we'll see. But like I said, if they play well, he puts his stamp on this game, you got to put him in the MVP conversation.
Yeah, they very much both look like they will make it, and it'll be interesting to see like who winds up with the division, because as we talked about, it would seem like Seattle would kind of be okay to be in either situation. The Rams, I don't know if they're as confident going on the road, other than the fact that this is a Super Bowl tested team. Probably not fazed by that, but not quite the road warrior thing.
Well, the certain players on the Rams are. This isn't exactly the whole nucleus of that Super Bowl team. A lot of pieces are gone, So it's Matt Stafford, Sean McVay, and maybe a little sprinkle here and there. So these guys, the majority of these guys haven't had that Super Bowl taste yet. So they look, to Stafford and those guys and McVay to give them that knowledge. But I think it works in the Seahawks' favor where, okay, we got to be on the road. We're comfortable. This is what we do. They can pull it out. But when you get a home game, you got to win a home game. Like if you pull out the division and you're one and done at home, then there's a problem. There's okay. Well, what's going on here?
Bad optics.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to be the team that's like, yeah, we love to be the wild card and just play every game on the road. You kind of want at least one game home to kind of stick to your routine, but certain teams just love the adversity.
So it's not the only big NFC matchup this week. The other one is the prime timer Sunday night, and we kind of got a little fooled last week. We thought Chargers Steelers was going to be a solid primetime game. Turns out it was anything but. But this week, hopefully wrongs will be righted, because we get Lions and Philly. And Philly's coming off a win, but kind of an ugly win. I don't know if we want to say an impressive win, but definitely an ugly win up in Lambeau. And the Lions, they generally have been rolling this year. They've had a couple of games where it's like, all right, this don't look like the Lions we're used to, but it is what it is. So what do you expect as the Lions head into the city of brotherly love?
I think the Lions need this game more than the Eagles. I really do. I think the last couple of years, everyone's kind of tried to anoint the Lions as the team it's their time to go to the Super Bowl ever since, they broke the streak of not making the playoffs for like 80 years and all that fun stuff. And, people in Detroit were shedding tears of emotion, and rightfully so. But now it's to the point where you got to put up or shut up. After a while, the feel goods and the fuzzies start to wear off, and then the questions start. All right, Dan, what's up with your team? Why can't you guys, take it to the next level? So I think this game is a definitive statement. If they can beat them, and through all three phases and just have a solid game, then you really, really can say without a doubt that the Lions could be that team in the NFC. Right now, the way the NFC is panning out, a lot of people are saying Rams and the Seahawks are the teams. Some people are kind of skittish on Philly because they're just it hasn't seemed fluid, and of course we get our yearly AJ Brown situation.
Meltdown.
Hopefully things go well there with him, but it's you're looking for that one team that's like definitive. As you start to get to this point in the year, like we said, you're contenders and then you're pretenders, and it's great that the Lions have all this firepower, all this talent, but if you can't make it to the big game, then it's okay. Then what is it?
Dare I say that the Lions are getting dangerously close to that San Francisco Niners territory?
See, the difference is the Niners made the Super Bowl.
Oh, so they had a little bit more of a
there's legitimacy. It's more legitimate. They at least they made it. Yes, they had a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter. Jimmy G blows it, and the rest is history and this and that. But at least they were consistent. The Lions are knocking on the door, but as we all know in the NFL, sometimes your windows are quick and sometimes they're long. For the Niners, they've had a sustained window. Buffalo's windows is really shaky right now.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is with the Lions, they've just great regular season team, but when it comes to the playoffs, it's like one and done. Like what's going on? Are you going to get it done?
What do you think we're going to see out of the Lions defense? I mean, they've had a lot of injuries, but they had a game against the Chiefs where they got absolutely run out the building, and then they had a game against your Bucs where they actually stood up fairly firm. So against this Eagles offense, which we don't always know what identity they're going to have, how do you see the Lions defense holding up against them?
I think that's almost a scary problem, and I think Philly's almost kind of tried to adopt that. Like, you don't know what you're going to get. Is it going to be run heavy? Is Saquon going to do his thing, or is it going to be pass heavy and they're going to throw it all over the yard and go from there? So I don't know. They need to be balanced. They really do. I think they really need to go in with a balanced offense. Saquon needs to do what he does. And then when the time comes, you let Hurts do what he does. And if that's what happens, I think they've got a good shot. I still think the Lions secondary is still kind of shaky. I think, Philly can kind of exploit that. But if Saquon starts hot, it's maybe a long night.
Yeah.
The opposite of that is, the Lions can throw the ball around and run and score points, but there just seems to be times where they almost take their foot off the gas and kind of say, okay, well, we put up a ton of points and, now we're done. Or they hit a wall and they stop. Like in the Tampa game, they started out hot. They were putting points up. The next thing it was like
flat.
Tampa slowly started making their way back into it. So they're going to have to be 4 quarters. You've got the opportunity, you got to score, and it's got to be 7s and not 3s.
Did you see anything to give you trepidation with the Eagles in that Packers victory? I mean, there was on one hand, a win is a win, 1 point better, all this, and on the other hand, it's the Packers have been reeling. They're riddled by injuries. The Eagles really should have, like you said, you were expecting a statement win out of the Eagles. And it was still a win, but it was hardly anything worthy of a statement.
I just think they've got to be more consistent overall. It's just the offense is just weird. It's like, yeah, they score and they get just enough, but with this offense and what they have there and from what they've shown in the past, they should have been able to put up more points on Green Bay. I don't know what it is. Some of the play calling was a little suspect in that game too. So sometimes I feel it's like the Eagles are like, okay, we'll kind of sleepwalk through it and then we'll turn it on because we're the Eagles. We're the Eagles, so we know what we can do. We'll just, when it's time, we'll score. That's going to bite you. And you might get away with it a couple times, but sooner or later, it's not going to turn on, and a team is going to come and snap you, and then you're going to wonder what happens, and it starts to free fall. So I don't know. I really don't know. The Eagles are a weird team, but you've got to give them credit. They're the Super Bowl champs. They're still in it, so they get that benefit of a doubt.
Yeah, that's a behavior we're used to seeing from the Kansas City Chiefs of multiple years in the past. And now the Eagles are kind of slipping into that same mindset.
Well, I guess after you've done it a few times, it's okay. Well, now we can kind of just, we'll turn it on when we have to.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's worked a bit so far this year, but they've really got to figure it out quick because, like I said, especially those teams in the West, it's not gonna end well.
Yes. And speaking of those Kansas City Chiefs, they're in pretty dire waters right now. I'd say this is very much a must-win this week as they head up to the Mile High. Denver, another one of those weird teams. They got a sparkly record, but some weeks they look super impressive, and some weeks they barely survive. So I would think you would agree with me on this, a must-win against Kansas City. But is this a game where they can kind of take advantage of a Broncos team that maybe might take a week off?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if Denver takes the week off. I think now, this week especially, this is the game where you really figure it out. You're like, if we can cut the head off the snake this week, then we are the team. We are the team. I think if Denver wins this week, a lot of people will sit there and say, Denver's the team to beat in the AFC. I think because of how people still want to anoint the Chiefs and say, okay, here we go. They're ready. They're ready to burst out, and it hasn't really happened. So I think if Denver plays well and beats Kansas City, people are going to say, okay, well, they're the team right now. They've beaten the great of the great. Here he is. So it's going to be interesting. I think their defense is up to the task. It's just their offense. Their offense has been so up and down. They've got to be able to run the ball, and just Bo Nix has got to be able just to make the throws that he was making earlier this year. And for some reason, the last couple of games has seemed off. But it's all there for Denver. They just have to do it.
The run game will have a different identity this week as J.K. Dobbins injury pedal has finally fallen, and it's the R.J. Harvey show full time now.
Man, like Jake, every year we're like, this is the year he's going to turn it around. And like this year, we didn't even talk about him because we were like, when we started,
just assumed he was going to get hurt. We just figured it was going to happen.
Before we were like, don't mention his name, don't talk about him. We want to see him play. Like, don't say anything. And yet again, but it now becomes the Harvey show. He's got to do his thing, and with they have the talent on the offensive side of the ball. It's just they've just got to perform. So we'll see what happens there. On the flip side, Kansas City's got to show up. This is it. Like if they lose this game, sitting at 5-5. I don't know if they're great enough to come back from 5-5, because if they do, then America will never hear the end of it, and then I'll watch curling on Super Bowl Sunday because I refuse to hear this mumbo jumbo. But Kansas City's got to figure out their stuff too. The offense, with all that talent and speed that everyone said once was assembled, they were going to be great. Hasn't really panned out that way. The run game is suspect. The defense is slowly starting to show a little bit of some cracks. Teams are kind of starting to, have sustained drives. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays.
Kansas City downfield threats, assemble.
Seriously, man. Like you would have, seriously, everyone swears they're the Avengers, and it's like, okay, a bunch of fast guys who are like, whatever. Like, give me a break, man. I don't know. Maybe it's just the annoyance that America feels with Kansas City, and I lead the charge. I'll be honest about it. But at the end of the day, Kansas City's got to figure it out. Now it's crunch time. They haven't been in this situation forever. So now it's okay if we lose. It's a hell of a mountain to climb, but Denver's got to do their part and handle their business.
You say Denver could be the team to beat in the AFC. Do you say that because of this fawning that the media do over Kansas City? So all of a sudden, because they beat Kansas City, everyone's going to be in love with Denver? Or do you,
I think so.
Do you truly believe that them beating Kansas City means that they leapfrog New England and the Colts?
Here's the deal. I think the media will sit there and say, Denver's it. Denver did it. Denver, here it is. Now they've buried Kansas City even more. What's going to happen? The football man in me, no. At this point, I think Denver's the third best. Right now, if you hold my feet to the fire, you're not going to like my answer. But right now, New England looks sexy.
You're right. I do not like that. I never will.
You don't. You don't like. I know you don't. But right now, the only and it's slight. It's by a hair. I think New England's got to play a couple more teams with some legit records for me to be 100%. New England is it, because they've played a lot of softy, but they've done what they needed to do. You can't pick your schedule. You got to play who's on it. And for like I said, they've played some decent teams, but the majority of that schedule has been kind of okay. But right now, Denver is probably the third because they haven't been consistent. To me, they've won, but it just, like, you look at it and it's like something's not right. It's gonna fall apart somewhere. So they right the ship if they can really put on a performance against Kansas City.
That's quite the juggernaut matchup to look forward to. Jonathan Taylor versus the top-ranked run defense.
MVP, JT, MVP, JT.
History, Bucksby, history. Anyway.
Drake May all the way. Drake May all the way.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that. Too early. Can't get his head too big. You said, well, we know the media fawn over Kansas City, but another team they tend to fawn over, especially lately, is the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson. Already just a foregone conclusion, right, that they're going to win the AFC North?
Yeah, like, why are you questioning it? All of America knows this, man. This was told to you weeks ago, man. Why do you keep questioning this? They're on a 3-game win streak. They're winning the division, man.
Back from the dead. Back from 1-5, the dead.
Sometimes you got to be a little dramatic to make it look good, okay?
Yeah.
But Lamar didn't practice. He missed a day of practice this week, so that's something to watch out on there. Not 100% with him.
Not on super solid ground. The AFC North does play each other this week. Baltimore heads into the Dawg Pound. I would assume that this, in theory, should be an easier one since Cleveland has been absolutely atrocious of late. But you don't want to assume anything with a divisional game. And the Bengals play the Steelers, which now the Bengals are still 2 games back of Pittsburgh. They're only 1 game better than the Browns. But the big news this week is that Joe Burrow will likely make his return on Thanksgiving night. So how many storylines are coming out of this double AFC North matchup as far as who's going to be left standing on the hill as far as the favorite in the AFC North after this week?
Come on. It's the Ravens. Why are we having this conversation, man? Dang. All right. Like this is like I just hate this division. Like I just think it's just so junk. Like it makes the NFC South seem so great. It really does. All right. So hooray. Joe comes back on Thanksgiving. So it's the countdown to Joe. All right.
Well, if Baltimore take care of business, and since he pulls the upset at Pittsburgh, which we know Pittsburgh's defense is Jekyll and Hyde and mostly Hyde, Baltimore and Pittsburgh will both be 5-5, and Bengals will be 4-6. That's only a game behind both of them.
No, okay. The Steelers are going to win. Like, honestly, it's going to be ugly, but there's no way Dylan Gabriel can do anything. Like, I just don't see this happening, okay? So then you've got the Ravens and the Bengals.
No, Ravens play the Browns.
Oh, that's right. Ravens, Browns. Apologize. So then, you know what? I could see the Browns somehow winning this. I really could. It's just one of those.
Oh.
The Browns always have that one game every year where it's like it all just somehow comes together and they weirdly pull it out. I just don't know.
This is the same Browns that just lost to the Jets, by the way.
So you got to bounce back. There you go. No, the Browns will probably lose, and everyone's going to be like, ooh, okay, here we go. Here comes the run. And it's just whatever, man. I can't get hyped. I just feel that the Bengals just don't have it. They've got offense. They just don't have the defense. They're going to end up dropping the ball somewhere, and they just don't have it. The Steelers, almost the same way. If they can play a team that's a solid defense and stops the quick pass offense, then they're dead in the water, regardless of what their defense does, because their defense is getting long in the tooth.
Mm-hmm.
It all lends itself to Baltimore. If they can at least just be somewhat healthy, they should be able to bounce and win this division. So I guess the favorites win this week in that division, and it's like, okay, whatever.
So you see, even in spite of the fact that Pittsburgh offense is very underneath and very short game heavy, that Cincinnati's defense is just so bad that short game offense will still put up a crooked number.
There's no way anyone can sit there and say that they trust this Bengals defense. Like, there's no way.
Definitely not.
Okay, you saw what happened in Chicago. So it's probably gonna be the same thing, and someone will get it'll be like a 60-yard bomb, and they won't know how to tackle, and there it is. Like, it's poor. It really is. The team needs an extreme overhaul. So yeah, that's great from a fan optic that Joe could be back for Thanksgiving, and okay, fine. They start putting on some points. They can't stop anybody unless Joe all of a sudden is Travis Hunter Jr. and is going to play both ways. I don't see anything happening. So it is what it is, man. It's just sad.
Yes.
Like before the season started, everyone was like, "Oh man, this division is unbelievable." Now you look at it and you're like, "What trash, bro? This is some trash."
No, like you said, the division, just you watch it and it's just all sorts of icky feelings from every team in it for all different reasons.
Like literally, the only thing you can 100% take away is like, "Wow, Cleveland sucks. They're not going to do anything," but everybody else is. Wow. Okay. You're going to be 500. Wow. Ooh-wee, there you go.
Like we said, you take Cleveland's defense and Cincinnati's offense, it would be an instant Super Bowl team.
Yeah, it would. But unfortunately, like you said, also it would just be the opposite of what we would get.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They'd somehow screw it up and paired Bengals defense with Cleveland's offense.
Yep. Dylan Gabriel and Trey Hendrickson. There you go. Mm-hmm. Poor souls.
That's how you sell out season tickets, boys and girls.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, we brought up the fact that, I do not like to see the Patriots do well. Another team I do not like to see do well is the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'd say they're very much in a must-win this week. They're hosting the Chargers. They've had two kind of rough games in a row, and they're able to beat the Raiders, but it took them into overtime to do so. They had a large lead against Davis Mills and the Texans, completely gave that up. And now they're hosting the Chargers. Now, the Chargers have had their issues on the road this season, but they're also getting a little hot right now. So is this going to be the nail in the coffin for Trevor Lawrence and your BFF Liam Cohen?
Yeah,
I like to invoke the emotion there.
yes, the emotion. Yeah, it very well could. It really could. Travis Hunter's out. Knee injury.
For the season.
Yeah. Brian Thomas, you can't trust him to catch anything. Maybe a cold at best. It's just the run game is okay. It's just you can't. The Jags defense is the shining part of that team, and their defense is going to have to play incredible. And I don't know. I don't think they can stop the Chargers. The Chargers are just. It seems like the Chargers are on they've been on prime time the last 3 weeks at some point. We've seen them either Thursday night. It's ridiculous. And they're good. They're good. I think the Jags defense will keep them in this game somewhat for a bit, but at the end of the day, I think it's the Chargers. And if the Chargers win this, the Jags, unless they go on a miracle run, I think it's a wrap.
I have hope that they're going to be buried this week. If the bright spot is the defense, and their last two games have been a hat trick to Brock Bowers and giving up a 25-point lead to Davis Mills.
Yeah, at that point, you invoke no trust to anybody. Your fan base doesn't trust you. No one in America trusts you. So this is what it comes down to. They've got to play. And it's almost mistake-free football, and somehow pulled this out. I don't see it happening.
Then nothing would make me happier to see them burn. You and I went to a Jags game, and they're not the nicest people down there.
It's a little.
I lose no sleep over watching Jags fans cry.
Yeah, that was a rough one for you. I do remember that, man. I'm sorry. Hey, So, maybe it's a small measure of, revenge for you, but yeah, this game probably won't be pretty, but it is what it is.
All right, Bucs Brigade. Now we get you all hyped up for your game. The Bucs head up to Orchard Park. The Bills coming off that embarrassment against the Dolphins. You're very much looking to rebound from that loss to New England. This is. Are you gonna be opening? Do you feel like you're gonna be opening the doors to the penthouse for the Bills after this one? Reopening the doors to the penthouse.
See, with Buffalo, I want to, but it's you knew this year it was going to be rough for them. Everyone thought after last year, oh, it's great. They don't need any new pieces. They're just going to go in with the same old stuff and be great. And then Keon Coleman just, shat the bed. And this offense has now reverted back to the Josh Allen of 2022, where he runs around, fumbles, takes a ton of hits, makes plays, but just can't get it done. They need the win, because New England is just hot. They're just point blank. No, what you can't. There's nothing you can do about it. New England is hot, and if Buffalo has any chance of the playoffs, I don't know if wild card is in the cards for them. It's just the way that the AFC is all jumbled and bungled up. It's going to be crazy. So I think Buffalo needs a bounce back game. They've got to figure out their offense. It needs to be a lot better than what they've been doing. The run game's got to be solid, and Josh Allen needs some receivers. He needs somebody to throw the ball to. Right now, I don't know who he throws the ball to.
I think the wild card is their only chance, hope of getting in, because I think the division's done. I think New England's got this pretty close to locked up. I don't really have a lot like that first game. I'll give it to them. Maybe it was a little fluky, but seeing how these teams have gone since that first matchup, I don't think the Bills have a snowball chance in hell of beating the Patriots.
A snowball chance in hell. No, you're absolutely right. If you right now today you look at these two teams, they are what the other team was supposed to be.
That's true.
Let's be honest. New England was still rebuilding, and there was hope. People were like, "Man, if they could win 6 or 7 games, for a season, they're on the right track." Right now, what are they going to win? 12, 13?
Well, it's ironic because if you were to reverse them, there would be no story at all, because the Bills, everyone would expect them to just tear through the division and have a grand old time. And the Patriots, they would probably be just giddy over the fact that they're even in playoff contention, let alone holding a wild card spot. So there would be no juice to either of these teams at all if they were reversed. The fact that the Patriots are the one running away, rather than the Bills are the ones barely hanging on to relevance, makes everything a story.
Yeah. And it's crazy because it was only a few years ago where, everyone was like, oh, this is the Bills division for the unseeable future. It's, going to be, a run kind of like New England had in the AFC East. And, there's no one's going to stop them because every other team in that division's a hot mess. And right now it's been a drastic shift. And literally it took one man to come in and change it all. And now Buffalo, Mike Vrabel, maybe the greatest tight end
catching linebacker.
Yep, five touchdowns, man. 5 touchdowns, man. Mike Vrabel, man. I bet you Pittsburgh's still kicking themselves for letting him go.
Yes,
but it's crazy. And right now, Buffalo is nowhere what they were a couple of years ago. And like I said, who's Josh throwing the ball to? It's basically Josh, James Cook, and a bleeding defense.
Yeah. Do you, based off what happened last week, and do you see the defense having similar kind of chunk play issues with James Cook, or do you think he's the type of running back that can match up better, especially being that there's a lot more tape out on James Cook than there is on Travion Henderson?
Here's the thing. I think New England calls way better packages. They have Josh McDaniel. Like, let's be real. I think Josh McDaniel is a better offensive coordinator than Joe Brady there in Buffalo. Like, let's be realistic. New England stays true to who they are. They run the ball, and then at that point the pass develops off of that. That's just how it's always been with Josh McDaniels from 15 to 20 years ago. That's what it is. Literally, I think he's running the playbook that he ran with Brady. Like, it literally looks the same. But the difference is New England has guys who can catch the ball.
Is that going to be a problem for your Bucs? Oh, sorry.
No, what I think what it is I think you let Josh do what Josh does. He's and the way that this team has gone about it, he's gonna make a mistake. There's either going to be an interception or a fumble because he's going to force something. Mm-hmm. And I think of Bowles and the defense, of course they're gonna blitz. That's just what it's gonna be. We talk every week. That's just his thing. He's gonna bring you different blitzes. There's gonna be things like that. If James Cook, if they can't run the ball consistently and then find a consistent pass catcher, I think Tampa can handle it. Bucky Irving, I believe, is supposed to be back this week, so I think that opens up a lot of things for this offense. So what it comes down to is, can Buffalo just run a semblance of offense, and can their defense survive?
Yeah. Their defense, Baker, like we said, Baker got hot last week after a few weeks of little being not so Baker. So
I think you'll see a lot of
back.
Yeah, I think you'll see a lot of Emeka Ibuka, a lot of Tez Johnson, and I think a lot of Cade Otton. So I don't know if Buffalo's defense can hold up to that.
And to wrap things up on this show, we'll have some fun because the Packers, one of our favorite teams to have
fraudulent penthouse, woo-hoo! Fraudulent penthouse, #1.
They headed to New York, and Jackson Dart's coming off a concussion, which you think the Packers would love this. They don't have to play Jackson Dart. But guess who's under center? It's not Russell Wilson.
Famous Jameis. Oh, yeah, my man. He's about to bring the heat. He's going to bring the arm. He's going to sling it, throw 3 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. It's going to be fun.
And to top that off, it's the first game off of firing a head coach, which usually then puts a little extra juice in a team. So we could be looking at a situation where the Packers drop another game, and a second of the 3 games to inferior competition, and they're saying they're holding the bag, looking on the brink of the playoffs as opposed to not that long ago, challenging for home field advantage.
Good old Mike Kafka, the new interim head coach, was a quality quarterback. So if you have followed the game as long as we have, Mike Kafka.
Okay, Mike Kafka.
I think he may have actually won a Super Bowl with Philly that year. He might have been on that. He may have been that number 3 or 4 quarterback.
I think you're right, actually. I think you're right.
I think he may have been. The Giants, literally, those guys are playing for the jobs. Like, let's be honest. No one has any hope in this team whatsoever. If, the intern, Mr. Kafka, can, maybe string together a couple wins, kind of steer this team in the right way, especially when Dart comes back and show, something of this offense, he may win the job. I think they're going to want somebody big in the position. Already there's little whispers of good old Bill.
The homecoming
of Bill. The return. But I think the Giants will play loose. They've got nothing to lose, and those are the scary teams to play. Because they're just going to go out and play. There's a lot of pressure on Green Bay. They are not what everybody thought they were supposed to be. They were supposed to be one of the top teams in the NFC. Once the trade was made for Parsons, it was, oh man, Super Bowl, here we go, Green Bay, here it is. The whole Favre to Rodgers to Love, everything was supposed to line up, and now it's y'all can't put up 15 points. It's really crazy. It's one of those things where Green Bay's got to figure it out, and they have to go on a run real quick, because especially if they lose to the Giants, oh man, I'm sorry to tell you, Green Bay, there's going to be mass hysteria.
Yeah. You thought the Panthers was bad?
Yep. Famous Jameis comes back out of nowhere, and here you go, a conquering hero. He's going to find himself a starting job somewhere.
And a new head coach on an interim basis who is a former quarterback. You don't think he's going to want to chuck the ball around with a quarterback who's kind of happy-go-lucky and has a big cannon for an arm?
Yeah, why not? Exactly. Like, you sit there and just let it ride, and he's going to have to, because Green Bay's defense is really good. They're going to have to watch Parsons. Parsons is going to think he's going to probably eat. So it's the run game for New York is suspect at best. So it's going to be a lot of passing. So Green Bay just has to be smart, especially in the secondary with their coverages, and just keep everything in front of them. Because honestly, if you let Jameis do his thing, he's proven in this league he can do some stuff.
Darius Slayton, put him in your prize picks lineup, folks.
Load it up. Him and Jameis, man, load it up.
This is very much going to be dire straits for the Packers, because the Bears somehow miraculously have a very good record. You've got the the not NFC West champion, whoever that may be. The Niners are still kind of in it. They're playing the Cardinals this week, so they could very much leapfrog the Packers.
The return of Brock Purdy.
Yes, we did. Yes, that's what, we didn't even discuss that. That is true. I don't know if that's actually a good decision, but it is true.
Unbelievable.
But yeah, very, very much a crowded wild card field with the Packers loss. So I think I'd slap the must win on them as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. They know it too. And it's one of those things where, especially if, Detroit wins, if everyone else in that division wins and they lose, they're not winning the division. I don't see them, overtaking anybody like that. And especially they've played so uneven. This is a game that you have to have. You don't want to end up, having it be a Cleveland game and you lose to Cleveland and it's like, wow, really? This is how your life's going.
That's right. Slight programming note, Sunday Scaries faithful, we will be live at halftime of the Eagles-Lions game this Sunday. Bucs McGee, I think we're going to have some lines further drawn in the sand after this one. So take us off air with your final thoughts as we head into week 11.
Week 11. This is where it gets real, folks. Your team's either a contender, pretender. There's no more floating in the middle. It just doesn't happen. So, Mac Jones, I wish you were playing, man. You deserve that start. Disrespect to Mac Jones. Sam Darnold, are you making your case for MVP this week? Because, certain individuals here swear that JT, MVP. And in Buffalo, your life is in your hands. If you want any shot at playoffs, Josh has got to pull it out. But everybody else, enjoy your week. If your team's in the AFC South, good luck.